Family, welcome to Till Death Do Us Part. Listen, I hope you guys have been enjoying this journey. I believe this one, though, is going to be different.
Okay.
It's going to be record breaking. You know, we have some special guests with us all the way from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep.
Came down to visit us to share just a little bit about how, like, we stay in this thing, you know, till death do us part.
Yeah.
But I would love to introduce to y'all the Ezells.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
Welcome.
Great.
Wonderful.
Doing awesome.
Awesome, absolutely.
You know, y'all ready to start laughing at some things that
Oh,
some folks is
absolutely.
like, so folks is mad at right now. Y'all know what we do. We're about to normalize a lot of moments here on this podcast, because a lot of times what you're presently mad at, in time you're just gonna be laughing at.
Yeah.
We're in this thing
Till death do us part.
till death do us part.
Yes.
But tell us a little bit
Yes.
about you guys. How long you been married?
Yeah.
Where y'all met? Just you know. Oh, there's some. Oh,
Oh.
I don't even know if they're ready for that one. Yeah.
That's
tell
a
us.
whole nother testimony.
he said it's a testimony.
yes. We've been married over 32 years.
Nice.
Yeah. And we met at church. Yeah, unusual, but she didn't like me at first.
Ooh.
I was actually over her, and she used to go to pastor about me, saying, that joker don't know what he's talking about. He don't know nothing. Why you got him over me? She just wasn't used to a strong man.
Oh. Okay.
That's what it was.
She said that's what it was. Okay, Pastor Wanta, tell us the real story. Let's hear her
You
perspective.
just weren't ready for an altogether woman.
This is what 32 years look like. I like this. You are ready.
You know, she wasn't ready for a strong man, and you wasn't ready for an altogether woman.
Come on.
That's interesting.
But that's what we needed, though.
Yeah.
Both of us. So, again, God knew what we needed. So, he put
But you was over her.
When you say over her,
That's why I want to break down.
not
a little
everybody
bit.
understands that.
Yeah.
She was over the bookstore, but I did all the budgeting and all the ordering
Okay.
for the bookstore, so
Okay.
she couldn't buy nothing unless she went through me.
Oh,
Well, that's what he said. But that's not how it was on paper, because, you know, when you're in the budgeting arena, you know how to work your way around things that they don't see, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she sent me a list of stuff she want me to order,
okay.
and it was over the budget. So I crossed stuff out and wouldn't order, but to her budget. And then she used to get mad.
But how long did y'all know each other before you got married? How long did that period exist?
Oh, this is a good
we
story.
knew each other a few years, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was for a while because we were both married to somebody else.
That's this plug. I'm telling you. That's the plug.
We've already repented.
Right? I knew that. Pastor Bryan, I knew this
Wait a minute.
information already.
Y'all already repented.
Yes, you repented already.
They were married to other
Repenting
people.
means that there had to be a reason to
Yeah.
repent.
Come on, tell the story, Pastor Wanta.
Yeah, but again, like I said, that's a whole nother story. That's for another time.
Well, you could get more information if you tune into the Not Your Average First Lady podcast, because we kind of revealed that.
There you go.
Look at Pastor Bryan.
No, I'm in shock right now. I'm in shock.
But you know what? Before we actually got together,
Right.
both of our marriages was pretty much over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but we knew each other because of that. So, you know, misery loves company, and sorrow like to have company also. So, you know, when you're going through, then you find somebody else who can relate to what you're going through.
Yeah.
And that's how it actually came together. 'Cause
Right.
we wasn't even talking about each other, being together. We were talking about going in other direction with other people. But then again, you know, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Common ground.
Yeah.
And it create a conversation.
Right, and you talked about laughing later. Yeah, we can laugh about it now, but it wasn't no laughing moment.
Oh,
I'm
no,
sure.
no,
Yeah, I'm
no,
sure.
No. It wasn't a laughing matter. Again, we got I mean, people kind of isolated us when we did come together because, you know, they knew us before, and then, you know, it was messy because, I mean, people who used to be our friends turned their back on us.
And I think that's such a good thing to talk about because, truthfully, you know, and I even think about me and Rashida, I don't know why when you get into a relationship with somebody, you get isolated from people.
Yeah.
I know you're saying that context created isolation, but even in us, when we didn't have that, it created isolation.
Yeah.
Like that a lot of times that people just don't agree and they show their disagreement through separating from you. And before they can even get information or understanding, they dislike before they even get understanding.
Yeah.
And they assume they know your story.
Correct.
But they didn't know the full story.
They
They assumed they knew the full story.
Yeah,
Right. It wasn't like they were in a good place in their marriage. I mean, I know Pastor Wanta shared on our podcast, she was in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will look, of course, a lot of people didn't know that. And so that's why, you know, her marriage is on a, you know, the first one was different. And so, yeah, I mean, I knew that because of our conversation.
And mine was, my ex was in adulteral affair. When I was traveling with Pastor Dollar, she was having men in our house.
Wow.
My brother said that he came there just to check on the family and knew it was somebody in there, but they didn't come to the door.
So you was traveling for ministry.
Yes.
And you knew, but then at the same time, it was like, okay, this isn't information. This is what I'm hearing. For both of you guys, this wasn't information you would just share with people in order for them to understand why you are doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, no, y'all are calling what we're doing crazy, but you don't really understand what's happening behind closed doors. And neither do we feel like
we need to tell you.
We need to tell you
exactly
what's happening behind
exactly.
closed doors.
Exactly.
That's good.
I know.
And so how did you handle that moment, those transitions? How did you handle that there were people that were just like, hey, you know what? Because of what we see on the surface, we're going to go ahead and move on from you, although we don't even understand what's happening in the background.
That's
and again, we kind of helped that along also in the sense that we prematurely got together before everything was finalized.
Putting the cart before the horse.
And so
y'all using a lot of terms that like could leave question marks.
No,
we prematurely got together. We put the cart before the horse.
It wasn't ideal, right? Like it wasn't traditional. It wasn't traditional. They were together before they signed the dots.
I know what you're saying.
No, but exactly what you're thinking. That's exactly what it is.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yes, he does.
No, what I'm thinking.
Let's do the math. Let's do the math.
Let's do some math. You know when people start bringing math, the relationship, things get interesting.
Let's do the math.
I try not to do the math on people's relationships.
It's okay. Let them do the math. This is good.
Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. So if you want to bring some numbers,
Let's do the math. Let's do the math.
Okay.
We've been married a little bit over 32 years.
Okay.
And Lindsay is 32.
Their daughter.
Okay.
So do the math.
Do the math.
And that's it, and that's all.
We've been married about 32. She is
32.
She is 32.
Yeah.
So
9 months.
So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So
yeah.
So the math is the math.
The math is the math.
The math is what it is.
And actually, Pastor Dollar brought me before the whole congregation.
Yes.
Openly rebuked me and set me down for a whole year.
And told the congregation his sin.
Yes. Openly.
So the whole church.
Openly.
The whole church.
Openly. And strip me of all my positions and titles for a whole year.
Now, we know this is 32 years ago.
Yeah, let's
32 years ago.
32 years ago.
And although biblically the word is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Yes.
the application in these same contexts today would be greatly different.
I think he was. This is just my opinion. I think he felt pressured because of all the talk.
Yeah.
He's never done it before, and he's never done it since.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that because of who I am as an individual, I don't think most people would, because, you know, everything in my head was telling me, leave, but my spirit said, but you can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I did, every service, I sat in the same place so that people wouldn't have to look for me.
Yeah.
Made sure that they knew I was there. Nobody talked to me though, you know. They did.
Yeah.
But I made sure I was in the same place, make sure that they knew that I'm still here and I'm not going nowhere.
And I would say, like, there's a big difference, right? To where in, 32 years ago, that you would be blackballed versus what I was trying to say, in today, you would be embraced.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You would be embraced.
Yeah. Right.
And even not even having the context of what was going on behind closed doors, and I mean just in your own marriages, like, people nowadays would more say, okay, like, how can we love on you?
Yeah.
How can we love on y'all?
Yeah, there was pre-grace message.
Yes.
So, grace wasn't the reference to everything and anything at that moment. So it wasn't that. So,
But what I would like to talk about, though, because I would say in general, which the truth of the matter is, and for a lot of people, I know even that I encounter that, I'm going to say the vast majority, well over 70% of relationships that are starting, that see people starting, there are background stories like that.
Right.
I know that there's this whole fairy tale concept of two virgins getting together who've never been married before. No one got kids, and this is what the altar looks like. But 70% of the altars I see, there's kids in the audience.
Yeah.
There's
part of the wedding.
Part of the kids is in the wedding.
Exactly.
There may even be an ex who's okay, and we all together gonna be a new family. We've had people even at our family conferences where they invite, the husband or the not the husband at this point, the father or the mother to the kid to the family conference, even though they're divorced from them, because people have embraced this collective raising.
Co-parenting.
Well, my ex in the beginning would rather talk to her about the kids than to talk to me about the kids.
Wow.
Well, one thing that he didn't say too is that not only did that happen, but before he passed it on, once all that went through whatever it was going to go through, and he got to a place that he could deal with us, he agreed to marry us, but not without us signing a contract.
Yes. We had to sign a contract that if we got a divorce, we had to leave the church. See that? A lot of people, to death do us part.
Yeah.
Wait. So
Okay, hold up.
See, I have a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah.
Like a real contract?
A real contract.
And y'all signed it?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I wasn't going nowhere.
I mean, it's not a legal contract, right?
Well, it was legal in our eyes.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yes.
y'all sat down and signed this paperwork
Before he stood up and married us.
He said, because I ain't going through this no more.
and I can only imagine, I'm seeing through the lens of being pastors, right?
Right.
That if this situation was happening in the church, right, that you're trying to find some way to justify before people what you about to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it hits me in my mind. Is like, okay, we all saw what happened, we all saw what went down, But at the end of the day, I love them, and we all gonna have to move forward. But what can I do to at least say, like, hey, I put my foot down somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
And I think a lot
If I got skin in the game, I need y'all to have some skin.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, what can I do to enforce that?
Right,
Like, hey, you know,
right.
I had him sign that contract. You know.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about, right? Because you know, where we're going is like, I think it's so good is because people don't have, and most people don't have this, this rocket launch start to a marriage that they imagine. And I'm speaking about like a rocket launch to me is everybody, they both virgins and ain't nobody been married, ain't no kids.
That hadn't happened since Joseph and Mary.
You know what I'm saying? all the families love each other. Like, and people, this is what people see in their head though. And then they get to the moment to where, but I love this person. And now it's like, oh no, now that you got to this place, now you got to navigate. You have to navigate what an actual start looks like.
Right.
And this is my question really is, how do you feel that start, and this, I'm gonna use this word to categorize it, that how do you feel a rough start or a just not an image perfect or picture perfect start, how do you feel that has impacted your marriage? Like, do you feel like that has impacted us?
I think because we was having each other was the only thing we had
Yeah.
at that time. Again, the support we used to have wasn't there. The friendship that we used to have wasn't there. So it made us have to depend and rely
On each other.
and trust in each other. So, and I think that
Grew you
was
guys.
part of it. And then again, her realizing I ain't going nowhere. So if you want a divorce, you can't, because I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
was my mentality. You know, wherever you can leave, but just make sure wherever you go, got enough room for me, because I'm coming with you.
I signed a contract.
Yeah.
Right.
And she knew that. And I've told her that many times, in early, I don't have to tell her that now because she already know. We stuck like Chuck. We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that it was crazy because even though we knew we signed a contract, the first 2-3 years was hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because first of all, like we said, the way we got together and how fast we got together,
Yeah.
we really didn't get a chance to learn each other like you should in a typical situation and relationship. And then to find out we too had issues and baggage. And so when we brought that together in a marriage relationship, it was hell to pay. But the thing about it is, it was more hell because we knew we couldn't get a divorce or we had to leave our church. And neither one of us was ready to leave the church aspect.
Wow.
So we had to come to a conversation to say, after much yelling, hell, raising, all kinds of stuff, we came to a conclusion like, okay, we already know we got to take divorce off the table.
Y'all was yelling at each other.
We got to,
Well,
Wait, so how soon? This is my question, right? Because I think this is good for people to hear, right? How soon after I do did yelling begin?
I don't know if it was that soon. Was it that soon? I don't know. See, I can take a lot, so it takes
Take a minute.
Yeah, it takes me a minute. Now she may start yelling real quick.
well, I don't yell.
No, not much.
I just go through silence.
She do,
Mm-hmm.
but she
I'm just yelling on the inside.
yeah.
But we
you
just
can tell when she hot. She start cleaning up. She start picking up stuff. Or she start humming, or or what you whistling. Yeah. And
I gotta steam. I mean,
yeah.
You gotta get the steam
I
out.
gotta get the steam out.
Yeah.
You all right? I'm okay.
You start you all right? You all right over there?
You all right? I'm okay. But I've learned, because I've done a lot of marriage counseling. Even before we got together, I did a lot of marriage counseling. It taught me how to recognize, everybody don't need what they want or ask for, and don't need what they need. All of that stuff, you look at people based on what God shows you about them.
Yeah.
You know, people say I need some time. Sometimes they need a hug.
Wow.
You know, and so what I try to do is, okay, God, show me how to reach her and how to minister to her, and so you know, and try not to let it linger too long, because the longer it lingers, the more it become a stronghold in a person.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and that's
I
the
call
thing.
that eggshell season.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Eggshell season. Everybody feel it. But it's like, hey, it's normally, like you say, it's that embrace that ends the season.
yeah.
You know, and the longer it goes, pride is what's built up.
Exactly.
And my thought was this, right, is I find that a lot of people, they do, right, that they have this idea of once they get married, no matter what they hear and no matter what people say, they just imagine in some special bubble that that they aren't going to find themselves in the same space everybody else find themselves. And so it's like they get married, and then 3 days after getting married, and sometimes, you know, depending on the context of how you got married, it could be the same day you mad at this person.
Right.
And then you're starting to have thoughts in your own head about, man, this was supposed to never happen. We were supposed to be, I don't know when they thought, maybe you don't get mad again after you get married. Like it's a 6 months grace period or something. Like, like the marriage,
honeymoon time.
the honeymoon time, you know. And it's like, I'm saying that to say that even given the quote rough start, that it's 32 years later that y'all are here.
And we are enjoying the best moments in our life being together, realizing and understanding the qualities of one another. You know, at the beginning, you just don't recognize it, don't understand it, don't know it. But as you begin to grow with one another, you start identifying the qualities that you realize you need from that person that
Wow,
you
that's
never.
good.
Yeah, and that's our thing, is that we really complement each other. We really, I mean, she asked me the other day, I think, what you asked me, why you marry me, why you love me, or something like that. I said, because you everything I need and everything I want and everything God desired for me to have.
Well, let's go.
So why you love me?
Well, I love you, girl, because you everything I need, everything I want, everything God desires for me to have. I'm learning. I'm a quick learner. Man, I said, let me. I was recording this.
She said, oh, that's good. But that's real.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's real.
Yes,
That's real. Again, that's real.
But I think every marriage, well, not every marriage, but I think everybody should get to a sweet spot in their marriage. You know, you go
sweet spot,
at some point you get tired anyway of all the drama, all the issues, all the everything. So I think there is a time when you get a sweet spot, and then the older you grow together and bond together, it gets better and better and better. You don't know it's going to get to that place, but trust me, you get to that place.
Our kids be, y'all always together because we love being together.
Right.
We
And
do.
that's
We
one
enjoy
thing that
being
we
together.
learn too, is to control our surroundings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be friends with everybody just
So
because they're
true.
married. You can't be friends with everybody. You
That's
can't have
true.
everybody in your circle just because they're married in your circle.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that work against you.
Wow.
Especially if the women are talking to the women, the men are talking to the men. Now you're trying to gauge your marriage on somebody else's marriage versus working on your own marriage.
Come on.
So we don't have those relationships. We have friends and we have people, but not in that setting and not in that environment, not in that space.
Gotcha.
And not that often.
And not that often.
Okay.
You know, where you spend more time with them than you spend with one
each
another.
other.
Yeah, and that's our thing, is we like doing the things together.
That's good.
You know, and it doesn't have to be something, you know, elaborate. They can be just, you know,
The simple things.
going
of
to the
life.
store. I'm finna go pick up something from the Kroger. Or you want to ride? Yeah. Let's go.
Honestly.
And then along the way, you find those intimate moments to have those conversations, even if it's just to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So, always finding that space and that time that you can love on one another in such a special way.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And I would
cool.
say that's something that, like, even
So
now,
cool.
me and Rashida have been just, like, loving to embrace is to try to and bring ourselves into our everyday lives.
Right.
Yeah.
We definitely do a lot of, like, moments where they're planned, a lot of moments where it's like, hey, let's schedule to do this. We do that. But as far as, like, man, how can we bring each other into our everyday lives?
And see, we do that in our everyday lives.
Yeah, and I think
it.
you have to be flexible. You can't allow your schedule to dictate your moments.
That's
Because
right.
you got to be willing
That's
to
right.
alter your schedule
That's
in order
good.
to have that time that means a lot. Because when you try to schedule it all the time, then it becomes just a
And don't let
routine.
your schedule control you.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
'Cause
That you can break away at any time. I don't care what's going on, because if this is not together, whatever's on their schedule is not going to work either.
No.
Ooh.
No.
Now that's good right there.
And it won't be beneficial.
Wait.
What, you need a pen and paper?
Wait. You just said something real smooth
Yeah, she
that
did.
I think everyone has lived in.
Yeah.
That if this ain't together, then what's on your schedule ain't gonna work out anyway.
No.
Well, when she said that, I would say that's good because I've been doing that now. Like just recently, remember you were like, babe, we need to just get away for like 2 days, just local. We just need to regroup. And I looked at my schedule. My natural reaction is, oh man, I got all these meetings. I got these appointments. I just moved it. I didn't say anything. I just said, you know what, let's do it. And I moved it. I made my phone calls. I rearranged the stuff.
Yep.
Because at one point, you're right. Like, I don't want my schedule to matter more than my marriage.
Because when he said that, there was a need in him. And if
Yeah.
you didn't fulfill that need, that would have been a problem in him.
Yep. Come on now. Yeah, I don't want you. I'm going to fulfill your need. I don't want you to go nowhere else now. You don't want him to go nowhere else for the need. And that's a real topic in discussion that a lot of people don't like to talk about. Like, you keep pushing a person away to the point where, like you said, that Pastor Wante was there for you. You don't want to be in that position where other opposite sex is fulfilling, and not talking about sexual. I'm talking about spiritual connection, conversations, all of that stuff
all
matters.
I told her I'd rather for her to have peace than me to be discomfort than for her to be in anxiety and then me to keep up with my schedule. And so I'm willing to change my schedule to cause peace in her because when I drive her a lot of times to her job, and that's 110 miles. She said, "What you got scheduled today?" I said, "Whatever you need me to do."
Wow.
Even if his schedule's full, by me asking, he know there's a need there.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to make me feel bad that he's got all this stuff going on, then because I'm gonna back off because I don't want to inconvenience him.
Yeah, that's what we
So
do.
in order to say, you know what, I know what she's gonna say if I say I got this, and this, he just says, well, what do you need me to do?
Oh, that's
So now he already took all that off his schedule to meet whatever
What year
need
that
I
kick
have.
in? I'm just joking.
Watch it. Watch it.
But seriously, for me in ministry, one of the things that I embrace is that if I'm going to be instant in the things of God, then I got to be instant in my house.
Come on, that's good.
Bars.
Wait, you got to rewind that. Rewind that. Say that again.
Wait.
Yeah, if I'm going to be instant in the things of God, I got to be instant in my house. I don't care what I do. Even when I was traveling a whole lot, if I come home, I don't care how tired I might be. If my wife says, let's go out to dinner or let's go to a movie, I'm saying, let's go.
Yeah.
I can come home and she said, baby, will you do me a favor? Can you go get my computer? Sure.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Oh, I forgot some milk. I go to the store. Instantly.
So let's talk about something, right?
Come on.
Let's talk about something because I think
longevity right
I
there.
want to talk about something that I don't often see on people's list.
Okay.
People be making a list
Okay.
of what they desire.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is, and just knowing who you are,
Right.
is you are a servant. And what I'm hearing you say is, no, like if I'm going to be instant in my servant of God's church, I'm going to be instant in the servant of my wife.
Right.
Yes.
But that's actually was cultivated through servanthood.
Yes.
Right.
And and I'm telling you,
Yes.
I don't see, and this is so true, I'm just going to say it how it is. I don't see wives actually pushing their husbands to serve nowadays.
No,
It's a
Right.
benefit.
That
I'm
they
telling
don't
you, it's a
understand that,
benefit.
like, if he has to learn how to serve in order for him to know how to serve you.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
it's him serving God
Always.
that cultivates the heart of how to serve you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
always.
You want him
Absolutely.
to serve you without first learning how to
Serve
serve
God.
God.
And
God
it's-
will not
that's
support,
backwards.
maintain, and uphold anything that takes his place.
Listen,
He won't do it.
listen.
That's
He won't
good.
do it.
Listen, because what we actually have a lot of today, since we already here and we talking about it, is we have a lack of accountability in the church for men. They have no accountability.
Yeah.
None.
Wow.
But serving causes accountability.
It does.
And I promise you, it transcends over into their house.
It does.
If there's no accountability in the church, there's no accountability at home. That's why they're having marital problems.
And if they become a good servant in church, they will be a better servant at home.
Because that's where it happens.
That's where it happens.
When you
where it
learn how to die to self.
God is self.
But,
Yeah.
but church is a training ground anyway. It's a learning center. It's a developer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just for church, for life.
Yeah.
Good.
For life.
That's good.
So
It's just like you always say, if you're an usher, how you going to be an usher and serve everybody in church and you go to the grocery store and can't hold the door open for anybody coming in?
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That means you're a hypocrite.
yeah, well, it's,
Bottom line.
you're playing a role.
You're playing a role.
You're playing a part.
Nuggets, gems. Wow.
And so
that's good.
just the plan, I love things to be plain and clear.
Yeah.
Plain and clear.
Plain and clear.
That men need to be serving.
Come
Yes.
on, men.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be serving.
Yes.
And I challenge every man,
Yes.
you need to be serving. I ain't talking about the serving you want to do.
Right. Right.
I'm talking about the serving God has called
Oh,
you
you
to.
do.
Right.
Understanding that is going to cultivate your ability to better serve at home.
Right. Always.
I'm glad you
Because
said
when you're
that.
a true servant, you can't just turn it on and off.
You can't.
Right.
You
and not
can't.
just a servant for your wife, but your family.
Your
Whole
family, your entire
children
family,
too. Serving your children too.
your entire family.
You know, I
Love
got
it.
girls, so they keep me busy.
Yep.
Right. And there's nothing they can't ask for that he doesn't fulfill.
Wow.
He's gonna do that, regardless how tired he is. He's gonna
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
Right.
I like
That's
how
a
you
true
said
father.
that.
That's a true
That's
father.
what I like. I like how you said that. You know that? You said that. You didn't even have to say that about yourself.
No.
You
Because she
know?
sees
No.
it.
That is what's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just love it. And I don't want to escape this point that this is all after what people would call a unsurvivable start.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, no one thought we
Beat
would
the
last.
odds. Oh
Nobody.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah.
Nobody.
Nobody.
No, they didn't.
No.
Wow.
Nobody.
They didn't.
And when we tell them how long we've been married, a lot of them are shocked
Yeah.
I'm sure.
that knew how we got started.
Yeah.
They're shocked.
Wow.
And but then when they see us interacting with one another, then they can understand how.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
we're genuine loving each other and enjoying one another.
One another.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
This is how we act when we just by ourselves at home.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I know this is true because we've been around y'all a lot.
Been around
It's
for
the
a while.
same.
You
I
know?
mean,
It's the same.
I mean, we could be sitting on the sofa for real, and he'll be watching TV, and I'm just looking at him, and in my head I'm saying, God, I am so grateful that you put this man in my life. I see you, and
They flirting right now.
and the thing about it is, I just feel so warm inside, and then he'll look over and he'll say, "You looking at me?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." Mm-hmm.
But you just
thanking
said
God
something
for
in
you.
there that is so big is, seeing your spouse as a gift to you from God.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Like seeing your spouse as a gift from God.
Yeah.
That is something that you can't allow that to escape.
Right.
You can't allow that to go beyond your thought processes. And the thing about it is, I've never seen anybody at the altar not believe that they were marrying who God told them to.
Right.
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 I've never seen anybody be like, I just don't know if God is with us, but we're going to go ahead and go forward. I've never seen that.
Because if you see how we got together and all that led to that, then you would think it wasn't God.
Yeah.
And one thing that Pastor said to us is he said, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to be together. You just put the cart before the horse. He said, I believe this is supposed to be, y'all are supposed to be together. It's just you went about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So needless to say, even though we did that and we still went on and got married, God knew how to deal with us so that we were at a place that we knew that wasn't right. First of all, we knew it wasn't right.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's why I said we repented and we got it right.
We have a disagreement about something, though.
Okay.
She seduced me. But she said I seduced her.
We're gonna talk dirty now. Okay, we going there.
You was drawn in. There was a fish on the line. There was a reel in somebody's hand.
She knew I was weak and vulnerable.
I love it.
Swoop right in. I feel the same way, if I'm being honest.
Now you feeling the same way?
I was minding my own business. I was minding my own business, serving the Lord.
That's what I'm talking about.
The next thing I know, a professional walked in that knew things I ain't know. The next thing
and
I
took
knew,
advantage of you.
Took advantage of you. Next thing I knew,
that's exactly right.
Next thing I knew, I was standing at the altar. And I was 4 years later.
So you were in
my
a
daddy
daze
told me
for
no
4
rushing to
years.
nothing. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, we getting married, I'm leaving. That's what she would tell me.
Ooh.
And I tell them all the time, they'd be like, she threatening to leave me. I was like, hey, sometimes you need a threat. Sometimes you need a good threat. You need a good threat. You shuffling your feet. Shuffling your feet.
So you saying I forced you?
Whoa, force is a completely different word.
You see how you said one word, but I took it as that's what happens.
Right.
That's what happens sometimes.
You're not thinking that, right?
Force,
Right.
In order to be seduced, you got to have your eyes open.
See?
That's right.
So she just motivated you.
And you got to be wanting it too.
That part, you gotta want it to be seduced.
That's right. You got to.
Some people just a little upfront about their desires. Other people they just got them. They smother the cover.
You can't be seduced to something you don't want.
No, you can't.
You can't.
Right.
You can't.
Right. You can't.
It's not appealing.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
So, hey.
Yes. So
Appealing.
that gives you that explains it all then. No.
It is definitely, and I don't know. I don't know. I am blown away right now.
I love it.
God has truly favored y'all. But I think more than anything, for people to understand that the very moments that they are seeing as limitations, they're seeing as hurdles, that y'all are living testaments of the other side of it.
Yeah.
That, man, just and I see people today that are literally walking away from people I think are great candidates, but because they have this fairy tale in their mind that they're running away from people, and it's like, no, there is actually, and that's what I would like to say, like it's either the work is gonna happen before I do or after I do.
Right.
And sometimes it's both.
Sometimes
a lot of times
it's both.
Absolutely.
But the work is going to come.
Absolutely.
And I think it's always great. It's always, what does dating do? We dated for 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years, almost
right.
5.
And so there was a lot of work before I do, but that didn't end the work after I do.
Right.
Some people, they got married. We had the Joneses on last time. They got married in
9 months.
9 months, right? So they had work.
Dated in
Exactly, right? So there was not as much work before I do because we had 4 years, but then there's work after I do.
Right.
Either way, before or after I do, you have to commit to the actual process.
Right.
But both of them have to commit to the actual
That-
process.
and-
It can't be one
No.
and not the other. And if the other one doesn't want to, it is what it is. You got to be okay with that. But the
Yes,
only way it's
right.
going to work is both of them have to want it.
Both.
Absolutely.
Yes, but I think if you see things, and you guys kept saying you had this contract, and
Right.
I know you had the contract, but the contract just set almost like the
bar.
scope or timeline of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that to say that even if one of the spouses isn't willing to work, if it's till death do us part,
Mm-hmm.
this is just the season.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is just the season.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that to say I have never seen a couple get married and not believe that that's who God brought into their life.
That's it.
Like you believed it at this moment.
Yeah.
Now I do understand that there are things that can occur
Yeah.
to where this person has changed in character, this person has changed
Absolutely.
in their relationship with God, and then those moments can happen. But what I'm saying is 9 times out of 10 that ain't you right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that in certain occasions that sometimes one is pulling more of the load than the other one, just so that you can keep balance.
Wow.
You know, sometimes I believe I believe at the beginning I was pulling more of the load to keep us together, and
She's
then
shaking her head yes, so you all right.
then I think in the middle I think that she was pulling more of the load to keep us together.
Yeah.
And now we're both pulling together,
Absolutely.
and it's a much easier road because
Yeah.
we are pulling together.
Yeah,
Right.
it's easier.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And the good thing is you're not having to say, well, I did it this season. Now it's your turn.
No,
It is
no.
whoever
It
is
just
capable.
evolves itself.
Of course.
However
Of
it
course.
does.
Like I said, whoever is capable, whoever
At that
has
time in that season, because there's times where you'll carry the load and I'm going through something in a season and vice versa. So I love the flexibility to
Right.
know where their spouse is
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and pick up the load.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and there's one thing that I say like that for myself that always has helped me, and we talk about all the time. I'm gonna say it's one of the things that people always they just turn up their eyes at me when I say it, but I'm gonna say what I say. But
Right.
that truthfully, I do not feel like I am there to grow Rashida. I believe that I'm there to be the first recipient, the first fruit of the growth that God is bringing to her life.
That's
Yes.
right.
And so
That's
there are
right.
moments where her and God are working on something. In the same way there's
Yes.
moments with me and God is working on something. And I'm telling her, you're gonna be the first fruit of what we work out.
That's
You
true.
know?
That's true though.
But
That's
that
true.
is so
It is
true.
true.
Because she'll let you know that God has to deal with her before I try to deal with her. And she said, why didn't you tell me that? I said, because God got you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
And-
you have the answer, but it'll be better received when God shows it.
That's good.
Yeah.
But I believe too, you have to set boundaries in your marriage. You know,
I like that.
even with conversation, there's certain conversations I know, and women know.
Yeah.
We know certain words, certain things trigger. Especially if we're mad, we know what to trigger to make him mad if he's trying not to be mad. You know,
We
what I'm
call
saying?
that
We know how to
petty.
play
We call
those
that
games.
petty season, right?
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
That's that petty patch.
Yeah,
Petty
that
patch.
But you know, but you gotta set boundaries and stuff like that.
And
yeah.
the way I like to say it is like, you know, Satan is always trying to use our
Yes.
greatest asset to become our greatest liability.
Right.
And what's our greatest asset as married people is our proximity.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll always try to use what is your greatest asset to become your greatest liability, which is I can see you every day.
Mm-hmm.
And because I can see you every day, I know what triggers you.
Exactly.
But don't allow that asset to now become a liability.
That's
Right.
right.
Like, because
Right.
now I know you so well, I know how to trigger you.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't allow that proximity to now work against you.
Yeah.
You know, and I say one of the easiest ways to kind of see this is because of proximity. A lot of times somebody can be on a weight loss journey, right? And they're losing weight, but you see yourself every day.
Right.
And I see you every day. So it becomes harder to see that 5 pounds are gone.
Right.
There's someone who ain't seen you in the week, be like, oh,
Yeah.
girl, you looking good.
Yeah.
You know, and what am I saying? It's because there was time in between.
Yes.
But because you're so close, it's harder to see the small changes.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And so it's like in marriage, you got to almost make sure that you're not only acknowledging big changes,
but
that you are able to observe the small differences that are happening.
Right.
But that's something you gotta fight for, because sometimes you be petty because you know that there's a lot more change to happen. And so it's like, I don't know if I want to celebrate a good week because I want a good month.
Right.
You know, and if I get too excited about this good week you having,
It may stop right there.
It may stop right now. So I'm gonna hold on to celebration. Meanwhile, everybody, to your point, everybody's like, you've been on it this week. Then you go home and that person like,
I know
Like,
you.
you ain't say nothing.
I hear you.
and sometimes they'll even say a good week ain't nothing. You know, like
Right.
Wow.
you'll just hold that back.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, you got to ask yourself, who holding it?
Right.
Who's telling you to hold it?
Right.
It ain't God telling you to hold
No.
Yeah.
No.
So is that the issue with us? Because I did lose 5 pounds, and you say Jack.
No.
I lost 5 pounds and
I
you didn't
even
say
showed it to you
nothing.
on my phone when I took a picture.
No.
And you didn't say Jack.
Baby, you fine every day.
I know that's right.
Every day. And she know that, and I tell her that. And then she's like, oh, if I was 250 pounds, you still be saying that. And you're right.
And you right.
You're right. Girl, you fine. Just my kind.
Listen, hey, you fine, just my kind. It's interesting, right? Because I think that's a small space in a husband's head. It's dangerous ground. You know, and I remember never forget one time, like, Rashida she was like, you know, she was excited about losing some weight. And I was like, if I celebrate that she lost weight, is that saying that I was displeased where she was?
There you go.
This is
There you
that's
go.
what's going
Right,
through
the
my mind.
thinking.
you
So
go.
I just voted for. I'm
There
just
you
gonna
go.
keep it consistent.
Oh, there
I'm
you
gonna keep it
go.
consistent in and out of season.
Preach.
I'm gonna keep it consistent
Preach.
because my wife, you know, her father is a detective, and her brother is a police officer. So she don't ever stop at the surface. And so I can't just say something and think that that's just gonna be it.
But I think they're just women.
I was gonna say that has nothing to do with that. That's just a woman.
Oh, that's a woman. Oh,
Let me
that's
tell
a
you,
woman.
we don't forget nothing.
That's a woman.
Nothing.
Let me
And
tell
they
you.
detailed.
But let me tell you,
We abstract.
so
They
detailed.
detailed.
Wait, we so detailed. You do something, and 5 years later, I said, "Oh yeah," and we bring it back up. Yeah, you had on a green top and a black pair of pants, and you standing at the sink, and this is what you said. And you be like, "Dang, woman, how you know what I had on?" Because we don't forget nothing. We don't forget nothing.
Photographic memory.
I'm
I'm getting nervous. I'm just joking. You all right, Powe. You all right.
That's that flexibility, adaptability. That's
You know, I would like to talk about something else at this point in time.
Okay, go for it.
You know,
Thank you so much for watching Til Death Do Us Part podcast.
don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all know what it is. It's separation season.
Yeah.